viewers once again. My name is Akindele Oluwale Ajibade, the CEO of AMJ Nichols Agro Limited. In the first segment, we spoke a little bit about the book. We met the author in the person of Yemi Adesina, who spoke briefly about the content of the book, the essence of the book, and so we've had a little bit more. But in this next section, we're going to go into a little bit deeper. It's going to expatiate on the three key areas: the business, the marketing side of it, and the operations. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me as we invite the man himself onto the scene.
Hi, how are you? Thank you very much.
Nice to have you again.
Thank you.
And we're going to go into details about the business side, which is the first section of the book. And I've got some questions that might be helpful, and so that you can expatiate a little bit on it. And the first question, a lot of people, because quite a number of people have actually written it to us that are aware of this interview, and there's some questions that people want to know more, and they want to hear you. So one of the very popular questions is, why do you think entrepreneurs are venturing into pig farming, which is a part that you actually mentioned in the book?
Actually, thank you very much. I think over the last 10-20 years, a lot of diaspora and medium business have been looking into farming as a way of building their wealth. Now, why are people going into pig farming? One of the things that's peculiar about pigs is that if you've never raised an animal before, pig is one of the easiest animals to raise for many reasons. One, they're very hardy. So unlike poultry, whereby it's going to be very hard for you to run a poultry farm overseas because any little thing can happen that can destroy the farm. Same thing with catfish. If you put catfish in a pond and you're not around, if you put 2,000 there, you're not going to know how many is there until when you take the water out. By then, you have still 200 and you've been feeding them. So pig is very easy for people who have never done farming before because it's very hardy. The feeding cost is very low as well compared to the others. And then pig is unique in that it takes. Let me give you a good statistics that you need to know about pigs. If you give birth to a pig now, in 8 months' time, it will reach puberty. That means it'll be ready for mating, for breeding. If you goes on it and you mate it within 4 months, it's going to give birth. So let's say you give birth you mate it in January, by May, the animal is given birth, and by December, the pig has already spent under 7 months. It's already ready for sale. So that means in a year you can start a cycle and finish it.
Okay.
Pregnant, give birth, and sell. That's number one thing. Two, they can produce, because they only are pregnant for 4 months, you can produce 2 batches in a year. That means you have 2 sets of pigs. And when you're talking of batches, unlike cattle that give you 2 or 1, or goat that give you 3 or 2, pig can give you between 6 to 12 piglets at a time. That means at the end of the year, you can have something between 14 to 24 piglets. So not even in goat, if you started with 10, you end up with 300 at the end of the month, at the end of the year. I mean, that's a huge figure. Right. And that's what makes pig very interesting.
Okay. Another question is that people are very. There was a reference to those in the diaspora. Does the book also cater for those not in the diaspora in the business sense? So that those that are not in the diaspora might not think this book is not for me.
Exactly. That's a very good question. Actually, when I was writing this book, all the 3 people that I have in mind are the diaspora and the medium entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. I have the women and the youth who are actually doing farming already, but are doing the subsistence farming. Because we discovered that the proportion of females that do pig farming in Africa is high. Because they keep 2 pigs for 2 reasons. One, they keep it as a way, some keep it so that in September, when they need to pay their school fees of their children, they can sell few pigs and then make money. Some people keep pigs because as a kind of, like a piggy bank, so that if any emergency comes, or like hospital bill, not every country have NHS. Yeah. If an emergency bill comes in, they can sell the pigs and use the money to take care. So I have those people in mind. Then finally, I have the young people who are going into farming. We always say that young people should go into farming, that is a business that they can go into. But except the image of farming, except they see farming from a scientific point of view, and except they see farming as a way of making wealth, they will not be interested in it. So in this book, there's a section that dedicated to them on how to start small. I always emphasize starting small, so that you can start at a pace you can handle, you don't overwhelm yourself, and then you can build it up. So this book is written for entrepreneurs, diaspora. It's also written for women who currently have a farm, and also written with young people in mind that want to go into farming. And decided they could see farming not with hoe and cutlasses and sweat, very little reward, but they could see it as something that they can do. They can go to the city, raise their pigs, go back to the city, and if they want to go to clubbing, they can go clubbing and come back to their pig in the morning. I think that's the way we presented the pig farming here in the book.
So in other words, you've actually made pig farming itself simple.
Yes.
It all depends. It's what you want from it. Do you want to go large scale? Does the book also deal with those that want to go commercial farming, for instance? Because that want to go, say for instance, start with 300, 400, 700, or like the last project that you worked on with a startup of 700 pigs. That's huge.
That's huge.
That's on a commercial.
It is.
And I was told that the chief executive of that company actually also read your book.
Exactly. That was the first thing
and came to you as well. So the book itself caters for all areas, from those that I want to do, just keep it as for what you say, emergency situations, hospital bills, school fees, to those that want to go commercial, and probably even in the world of export. The other question.
Let me just say something about that. I think the principle of pig farming, one of the things I emphasize in this book, apart from teaching you what to do, is why.
Right.
Because there's something about principle. Once you know why you're supposed to do something, it makes you easier. So if I say to you, make sure you clean your pen every day, you're wondering why should I clean my pen. But if I say to you, if you clean your pen, it will reduce the medication cost that you're going to spend by 2,000. That makes it, you can relate to that, than just cleanliness is next to godliness. And that's one thing, that's what I did throughout the book, trying to explain the rationale why you need to do this, because if you do this, you prevent this. And putting costs where possible. I know that many of us will not relate to things, but when it comes to, as a business plan, when you see the cost implication, you will repent easily.
Now, talking about cost, that brings me to the next question. Now, what sort of finance, what sort of costs do you need, to start up a pig farm?
That's a very interesting question. I think if you're going to start a pig farm, there are a couple of things you need to bear in mind. First of all, I think before I go to cost, I'm going to explain when you want to, location is very important when you want to start a pig farm, because it's going to affect a lot of things. Because once you locate your farm, you can't change it.
Sure.
And that means if you make a mistake, there's a mistake that stays with you.
Why can't you change it?
It's because by the time you start construction, you've already put a cost on the ground. Now, second, so you can't leave it, abandon it. And again, trust me, to manage one farm is difficult on its own. To manage two farms is killing, because that means you will have to be moving within two places. That means you have to spread your time within two. I manage about 2 or 3 farms, but it's with experience, that's why I could manage it, because it takes time, and if you don't have the time, for example, one of the things I always say to people when they want to set up a farm is that they should locate. One of the important criteria that entrepreneurs should have in mind is that the farm should not be too far from, it's not to be too far from you. That can mean your workplace, that can mean your house. Because if it's too far, that distance, that you'll not be able to visit your farm regularly. If you don't visit your farm regularly, that's when problem will happen, except when you're an entrepreneur.
Would you then say you cannot go into farming if you are not hands-on into pig farming? Can you, for someone, for instance, you might have individuals who just have the capital and want to go into farming and set up a piggery business, and probably do not live local. Some of them live in the diaspora. Are you encourage? Would you encourage them? Does the book actually cover that? Those sort of investors?
Exactly. I think a lot of people have. What I'm saying is this: I will not be interested. I will not get involved. When this man called me from Imo State to help me to set up his family, the first thing I asked him, I didn't even know he's a big person. I said, I will not come to you until you read my book.
Yes.
I will put my videos.
So that's what you did.
Exactly. I think it's from experience. Yes. And because if you run a farm and you don't know the fundamental principle, even if I'm telling you the truth, You will believe me, but you will not know whether it's the truth.
Yes.
So what I always say to people, you need to go through my video. If you can't afford it, go through my YouTube videos. Buy the book, come for the training. So that when we now sit down to start planning, you understand, because you are, the engineer will say you are strong at your weakest point. So your brain might be as strong is where it's weak. And where, when it comes to, is where what you don't know.
The stress points.
That's exactly, thank you very much. It's what you don't know that people you're going to use to finish your farm. And you don't even know they're finishing you. Not only that, when they're doing good for you, because you don't know whether they're doing good for you, you might be suspicious of them. So you ended up sacking the one that is honest to you and promoting the person. So that's why it's so important. So I think one of the things the book says is set it for you. There's some things that the owner needs to know, even if you're not going to be on the ground.
Right.
In fact, you need to know more if you're not going to be on the ground, because you're going to be making judgments from a distance on the farm.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, there's a high chance you're going to make a wrong judgment.
Right.
How I farm in Nigeria, I stay here for 2 or 3 months sometimes. But because I'm very close to my pigs, I know them very well, I can give a judgment. Even if I'm running in a way, I can give judgment because I'm very close to the animal. I know where I left them. So it's so important for the owners to know what they're dealing with. And one of the things this book will do for you, you see, I look at this book as for you that are in UK, there's a theory test and there's a practical test. The theory test is the book.
Yes.
It's not enough. You have to go for practical training. I always tell people from the beginning, because this will give you all the things you need to know.
Yes.
But you cannot be a good driver just by passing your theory test.
Yes.
You still need to go to practical and get your hands dirty so you can feel it. And then that will give you a good picture. If you do that, and now after you've done the training, when you start your farm, there's some critical point you need to be on your farm. The day they started construction, try and be there because you're going to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
The day when they bring animal to your farm, you need to be around so you can see the animal that they brought in and how it's been run for a couple of weeks. And then when the animal fallows and things like that, those are strategic points that the owner needs to be around so that your staff will know that you know what you are doing.
Okay. So in the area of, the initial question, which is how much capital do you need to start the pig farm? That means from what I gathered from you and which the book also covers, it all is relative to what type of scale of pig farming that you want to
Exactly.
Okay. So which leads me to the next question. And a lot of people want to find out how best to finance a pig farm.
Okay.
Do you go loans, or do your savings, or borrow it through friends and family?
Okay.
So how do you finance?
I think in Africa, you will never, nobody will be able to will invest in your farm except you put your money down on the ground. In fact, until you buy the farm and start running it, nobody's going to put money into your farm. And it's good that way, because the advantage of putting money down on your farm is that you don't need to wait for anybody. 2, you know how much you're putting in. And you can start and build a farm around that. But the disadvantage is that you might be limiting. And if you lose the farm, you're going to lose you're going to lose everything that you have, because you are putting everything that you have into it. That's the advantage. So when your farm gets to a certain level and you get comfortable, you might start thinking, okay, let me get friends and family that might be interested in this. Now that might be possible because, one, if you are good at running your farm, they could see it. You're a man of your word, they could see it. And they can invest in your farm. But when you are doing that, you need to be very careful. Make sure if it's going to be loan, you agree with when you're going to pay the loan, and make sure the payment is in sync with your production. So that if you're going to borrow loan for me, I'm going to pay you back in 6 months' time when I'm selling the winners. Not 3 months' time, because then I will not be able to sell them. Then I have to go to another money to borrow. If you're doing an investment, you need to agree, because that's the person might say to you, I'm going to give you money, I just going to have 20% of your farm. But if he doesn't know the profitability of farms, that this is not photocopy business. You're not going to make money today, tomorrow. It might take the next 6 months before we won't make any money. And we'll be spending money every day. If you don't manage that very well, it can become a problem between you. So that's what you need. That's the disadvantage of friends and family. But the banks, another one. Bank right now are giving loans in Africa. They have never done so before. When I started, in fact, they have to take the DNA of your parents before they even give you a loan. But right now, they become so lenient because the government have realized that farming is the way forward. Except we are self-sufficient in feeding, we cannot be developed. A country that cannot feed itself cannot develop. So, but when you are going into bank, there's 5 rules that's very important that you need to obey. 1, when you are borrowing loan, you have to make sure that the amount you borrow is for a particular purpose. 2, the arrangement of payment that you made for that loan should correlate with how when you're going to sell the money. So it's not a matter that I borrow loan, I'm going to pay you back in 3 months' time. When I'm going to sell the animal in 6 months' time, then I have to take money from another place and go and use that money. Two, thirdly, go for the lower interest rate. I know that sounds very obvious, but we farmers, we're always very desperate because suddenly our fees are about to run out, we needed money, we go to the bank. Anytime they give to us, we just accept it. And then it becomes a problem when it comes to pay because the animal is not ready for sale and the bank want their money back. So what I say, go for the lower interest when you're borrowing the loan. And at the end of the day, make sure the loan can pay back. Make sure when you immediately you sell, what you pay for the loan back, you pay the loan back so that it doesn't become a problem later.
Well, thank you for that. You see, all of the information that you've provided so far, and I know we're only just probably scratching on the surface in relation to the degree of information and the wealth of information that is in the book. So all this information, all this that what you've spoken about now, all are all contained here and more.
Exactly.
So I will always encourage, and I'm sure encourage our viewers to purchase the book. It is, I can't preach it anymore than that. Purchase the book from our own personal experience. And I don't know, probably you noticed I was nodding out most of the
Exactly.
because, like you said, we read the book, and when it came to actualizing our dreams, we found that everything that you've actually stated in the book, and this is without even talking to you in the physical, we were able to, we actually saw them and were able to apply them. So, so I would just encourage people to buy the book. It's just, it is what it says on the tin. So
Heard what you've heard today. Please kindly subscribe to our channel. Kindly subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to hit the notification bell for any new information. And if you want to know more about farming, if you have any question, if you're already a farmer and you're already into this, you have questions, you don't know, you have difficulties, please do comment below. And if there's any advice, if there's any topic you would like us to talk about, I would advise that you make comment below. Please do share with people, because